First of all, ni kumbo ewo chani su aha EG politics ave. Oni a podcaster se twene bikus biki headlines. Ena ejembre ne EDB exumu ewo ha. Eni dim ya humbak simu. Se ene AD kanya. Best so bituma subscribe to the channel. The notification bell so share na ro kwaka enso ensa interview NKB. Eni dim ya humbak simu. Yambo inra eye political highways ni muna eja dema. Oni a enya sem ko kwa na ningna enkse eye Maxi Accra Express Road no bill no for a year parliament. Parliament with majority decision at me a paxi and my menoka say Baby ye Maxi Express Road. Now it me a trigger a whole lot of heated argument between a majority leader and a minority leader. Unia another break and so didn't for ma Unia now a heated argument or parliament. Make us a baby. At this point in time, Yambo Ingra in Seminum, not yet ready about AG politics of
and bringing us this very, very useful report. I urge other chairpersons of the various committees to do same during the recess. I know during recess you're supposed to be in your constituencies with your families and etc. and taking time off to rest, but also take time to tour the country and find out what the situation is, so that when you resume, we can take these reports and try and deal with them. Mr. Speaker, on the substance of the report, let me indicate that what I see is quite a scary situation. I see, for instance, in paragraph 7(1), that the committee in the Greater Accra region, in the Akroma Metropolitan Assembly, red flagged the volume of waste generated relative to the capacity to manage. And it says that the metropolis generates about 4,000 tons of waste daily. 4,000 tons of waste daily. Existing facilities can only support the management and processing of only 2,000 tons. Mr. Speaker, leaving the remaining 2,000 tons. Mr. Speaker, this is a national crisis. This is a national crisis. If the foremost metropolis in our national capital generates 4,000 tons of waste daily, and has only the capacity to manage 2,000 tons, half of it every day, where is the other half going to? Where is the other half going to? That is why I say this is a national crisis. We must sit up as a people. If this is a situation in our national capital, where all 276 members of parliament sit and work, where our presidency sits and works, where all our ministries and government agencies sit and work, where all the most important officers in the private sector sit and work, and where I will say most of the elite of this country live. If that location of our country generates a daily waste of 4,000 tons and has the capacity to only manage 2,000 tons, I am wondering what is happening in the various cities across the country. Mr. Speaker, that is why I say the report of the committee raises a major red flag. And as a people and as leadership, we must sit up. Mr. Speaker, as chairperson of the Independent Constitutional Bodies Committee, I am responsible with my colleagues to oversee the Common Fund Administrator and the fund itself and its distribution. It has come to my notice through petitions presented to me and the committee that in the past, allocations were made through the Common Fund for the management of sanitation. Mr. Speaker, we are being entreated as a committee to reconsider the current allocation of the fund. Let me state that we have considered the petitions carefully. One, in the past, the common fund used to pay for sanitation under an item known as National Sanitation, Management. Huge amounts of money used to be put there. With the decision of this government to make sure that 80% of the monies go directly into the accounts of all district, municipal, and metropolitan assemblies, it is no longer possible to maintain that item in the formula. No matter what we say, within the formula, the various assemblies are authorized to use, I think, 10% of the allocations given to them to manage their sanitation. What used to happen in the past, I thought was unfair, was that out of the bigger basket, a chunk of the money is taken and used to maintain major sanitation infrastructure, which were mostly in the major cities, including Greater Accra and then Kumasi and Takoradi. So what it meant was that the people of Boku or the people of Sandema were subsidizing the lives of those living in Accra. So, Mr. Speaker, that is why I continue to support the policy of the President that 80% of the common fund money must hit the accounts of the various metropolitan, district, and municipal assemblies. But I do agree that we need to invest. We need to invest in sanitation infrastructure. The question is, where should we find the resources to invest in sanitation infrastructure?
Majority Leader, I've seen a former deputy leader on his feet.
Leader, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I just rise to supply some useful information to the Majority Leader.
Well,
Majority Leader.
Well, hold on. You are up on information.
Yes.
Well, the rule is that if it is information, are you willing to yield?
But Mr. Speaker,
are you willing to yield? Majority Leader, are you willing to yield? Majority Leader, are you willing to yield?
I'm not yielding to him, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, very well. He's not willing to yield, so you can supply him the information.
I need to run.
Yeah, Majority Leader, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, so the question then is, there is a critical need to finance sanitation infrastructure in the urban centers. The assemblies in the urban centers on their own and based on the allocation made to them cannot afford to maintain those critical sanitation infrastructure. You cannot say that Greater Accra Metropolis should manage the waste treatment plant in Greater Accra because they cannot afford to maintain it. The allocation made to them is woefully inadequate to maintain it. The question then is, what should be the solution? Mr. Speaker, property rates is the solution. Those who have their property in Greater Accra, those who have their property in Ashanti, those who have their property in the urban cities, it is those properties and the occupants of the properties who are causing the waste problem. So those properties and the occupants of the properties must pay for the waste that is generated by them. That is the basis of the polluter pays principle. You cannot choose to come and live in Accra, then I will remain in Boku, and yet I'll be subsidizing your waste management through the common fund allocation, which money should have come to people in Sandema, people in Jirapa. It is sent to Accra so that Accra can help manage its waste. Experts have said that property rates can go up to 18 billion Ghana cedis per annum if we collect them. We are not collecting the property rates, and those generating the waste are living in those properties, and yet others are being called upon to pay for the management of the waste. I think this is not right. And I agree with Akuffo that the money should go directly to the districts. So let us see how we can collect property rates and use some of that money to pay for the waste management infrastructure that these cities are hosting. Because when you look at even an analysis of properties and their values, Greater Accra alone has, I believe, more than 2/3 of most valuable properties in the country. So if we have 18 billion in property rates that we are not collecting, it means that Greater Accra alone has a potential to generate not less than 5 billion Ghana cedis per annum. I have looked at the figures, and what is needed to manage the waste is about 1 billion Ghana cedis per annum. So if you are collecting the 5 billion from all the properties in Greater Accra, and you put 1 billion into sanitation infrastructure and the maintenance of the infrastructure, you will still have an outstanding 4 billion to put into other infrastructure such as inner city roads, drainage, and other facilities that will make life more livable in the communities in Greater Accra. So, Mr. Speaker, I do admit that we have a national crisis. We must sit up and find a solution to this crisis. But it cannot be a lazy solution. The lazy solution was a system where we just said, oh, common fund has a basket of money, so let's just dip our hands into the common fund and take the money and then just give it to sanitation management. When the real cause of the waste is the property sitting in Greater Accra, and nobody is figuring out how to collect the property rates and use it for waste management. So I urge colleagues that the committee working together with the local government committee and the finance committee must sit up, come together, and then brainstorm around how we can collect property rates and how the property rates money can be channeled into supporting sanitation infrastructure. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I think that sanitation infrastructure, such as huge drains that would move the waste to treatment plants, and the treatment plants and landfill, are major public works infrastructure. They are not the sole responsibility of the local government ministry. In many countries, such infrastructure are the responsibility of the ministry responsible for public works. So the Ministry of Works and Housing must be given adequate budgetary support so that they can construct and maintain the sanitation infrastructure. It cannot be the sole responsibility of the local government ministry or even the various district assemblies who clearly don't have the capacity to invest in such massive public infrastructure. So I think that as a house, we must advocate for the ministry responsible for works and housing, which generally oversees public works, to be given adequate budgetary allocation to be able to construct the needed sanitation infrastructure in the various municipalities that are very populous and need additional support to manage their infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, there are many issues that have been raised and flagged in this report. I cannot delve into all of them due to the constraints of time, but I want to conclude by once again commending the chairman of the committee for such a diligent job and encouraging him to continue to tour the various facilities, bring the issues on the floor, let us debate them, let us find amicable solutions and make recommendations to the executive. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, I will put a question. As many as are in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is accordingly adopted. Yes, Majority Leader. Honorable members, in the meantime, let me acknowledge students from Elite Smart Kids School, led by Lucas David, a teacher, and they are from Ablekuma North, the number 37. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Let's do 34.
Speaker, just as my respected colleague from Nsawam Adwejiri said, we will scrutinize clause by clause when we get there. But it is important that ab initio we draw your attention to the very danger of what is ahead of us. Mr. Speaker, I identified the loophole that amendment does not sufficiently insulate, like I said, the primary mandate from being subordinated to government policy priorities. You are not supposed to subordinate the central bank. They're supposed to make their own decisions and be very independent. What you are doing is to subordinate through this enactment the central bank to policy priorities of government. Mr. Speaker, so if this is your 24-hour economy you want to implement, and feasibly the experts at central bank feel that, look, this thing will not help, you are saying that by enactment they are compelled to support your own policy, economic policy priorities, even if it will hurt the economy. Is that what we want to do under this reset, Mr. Speaker? No. You've introduced a strange phrase. A strange phrase. Support the economic policy of government. So, Mr. Speaker, our colleague, the finance minister, must tread cautiously. He must tread cautiously. Because what is happening, I don't know the experts who provided expert advice on this and whether or not the central bank itself. Mr. Speaker, I'm reading the report. I did not see how involved the central bank itself was in respect of this whole matter and how comfortable they are. Of course, they are technicians. They will not say to you that we disagree with our minister. They will not. But, Mr. Speaker, this will not help the cause of Bank of Ghana and our economy in general. The minister should stay away from the activities of the central bank. Government must allow the central bank to operate with that independence bequeathed them under Act 612. That should be it. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to rest my case and pray that we get to the next stage. Once we get there, there will be an opportunity for us on this side to introduce our amendments to cure some of the excesses we've identified in this draft bill, and if they are indeed ready to do the needful, support so that the bill will be properly fine-tuned to become mature as a proper law emanating from this house. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case on that point. Thank you so much.
Yes, Minister for Finance, your concluding remark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there's the need for me to clarify some few points. Right, Honorable Speaker, this amendment bill is rather supposed to strengthen the central bank and not to take its powers away from them. It is rather giving more powers to the central bank. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, let me now begin with the statement made by the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, the very provision that he's making reference to has always been in the Bank of Ghana Act since 2020. Mr. Speaker, it is not new. This provision he's making reference to has always been in the Central Banks Act. The reason why we are seeing it here is that we restated it and added another sub-clause. Mr. Speaker, they are not new. And so I urge the minority leader to go and take the enactment, the original enactment, and compare it with what we are actually passing today. They are not new. Mr. Speaker, let me make this point again. Right, Honorable Speaker.
Tell him to pay attention.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Minority Leader, can you listen to me? Can you listen to me?
Listen.
Mr. Speaker, they are not new at all. In fact, since the original enactment, there have been 2 amendments, and all of them we have restated it. Mr. Speaker, this is coming on the back of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, let me refer you to Article 183 of the Constitution. The Bank of Ghana shall be the Central Bank of Ghana, 1831, and shall be the only authority to issue the currency of Ghana. 2 says that the Bank of Ghana shall, A, promote and maintain the stability of the currency of Ghana and direct and regulate the currency system in the interest of the economic progress of Ghana. The Speaker, it goes on to say that, B, it shall be the sole custodian of state funds of Ghana, both in and outside Ghana, and may by notice published in the Gazette authorize any other person or authority to act as a custodian of any such fund as may be specified in this notice. Then C says that encourage and promote economic development. Encourage and promote economic development and the efficient utilization of the resources of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, oftentimes wrong impressions has been created that the central bank's only mandate is price stability. They have a constitutional mandate of economic development. And Mr. Speaker, and that is actually in Article 1833 of the 1992 Constitution. I am not the one who wrote this Constitution. It is.
We ain't some who wrote because of China. So, Mamma was so jembre, or the Senate or body, and the Adumi. The Samba Rob, Yasumuipa.